I just came out here to check on my beehive, and I haven't really done a video showing what it looks like. I harvested 2 frames of honey and some other honeycomb that they formed themselves inside the hive, because I was being a bad beekeeper and I didn't go check on it sooner and swap out some of the frames for them so they start to make their own frames in there essentially. So let me switch my camera around. So this is in the back of our pasture. I've had this beehive for a couple years, and this year finally I got the bees to make it through the winter. So one thing I learned was just to maintain some sugar water out here for them and make sure I leave an ample amount of honey at the end of the summer so that way they have food throughout the winter. But the reason why we have it kind of back here is so it's away from the other animals, because this is in the very corner of our pasture. So this is the end of our pasture right here, and those are the 2 top bar beehives we have. They don't own bees in them right now. But another reason is we get this cesspool of water back here. So it's kind of good that the beehive's back here because they have a water source right outside their hive. They'll travel up to, I think it's 5 miles for a water source. But this is just a little more convenient. That way they're not bugging other people. Sometimes they do go to my neighbor's fountain when they have it on. So they usually get water from right here, or our water troughs for the animals are all the way up there. Let me see if I can walk over here. It's kind of a little muddy. So one thing, if you're new to beekeeping or if you're thinking about getting bees, if you look at the bottom right here where these 2 openings are, you can see bees going in and out. You don't want to stand right in front of this path. That's their direct path to going in. The drones and the worker bees, they go in and out directly there. So they won't go another path to go in. They just have a straight line into it. So you don't want to walk in front of it, because then you'll start to piss them off, and that's when they start to get a little angry. So let me see if I can walk around the side here. It's kind of muddy. Let's see them going in and out. So let's see if we can. Oh, they have a lot of. That one had a lot of pollen on its legs. Let's see. I have to get closer. Ooh. So I don't know if you can tell, some of them have some pollen you can see on their legs. And when I did do my hive check last week, there was quite a few frames that had the larvae in it. So it's kind of interesting. I got this book, it's called The Beekeeper's Bible, and it talks about how the queen lays the eggs, and then they feed it, and then they seal them off, and then they open it back up and feed them again. The worker bees do. So it's kind of interesting how the bee colony works. But here they are. Since it's getting warmer out, they've been going out and pollinating more. And one thing I noticed is I've been getting used coffee grounds from Starbucks and putting it in my garden, getting ready to till it in, and they really like the stuff in the coffee grounds. They've been, every time I drop new stuff, they're over there in it. And then when I plant my vegetables outside, they'll be all over in those too. So if you want to have a really good garden, if you want to get bees, you could do that. If you wouldn't want to get bees, you could have you could find a local beekeeper that would want to keep a hive on your property. So there they are, going in and out. And another thing with bees that's interesting is if you look on the ground right there, you'll see some dead bees. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. What happens is when especially in the winter, it's pretty bad. Oh, my camera, it's so hard to zoom in and out. Especially in the winter, it gets pretty bad. They, when they die off, the other bees will push them outside of the hive. So they kind of clean it up themselves. And then I'm trying to get a package, which is a 3-pound package of bees with a queen included, for these hives right here. I've already put some framed honey that I had left over from the other year in there, to kind of get the bee colony going when I put it in there. So if you decide you want to get bees, there's 2 types of hives you can get. The one I just showed, or the top bar beehive that I have right here. Top bars, I kind of want to do that because the bees free form their own honey. I don't know how to explain it. So you just have a wood slat on top, and then they will make their own shape of the honeycomb. And the other beehive that I have, it has pre-built frames in there. They're like rectangles kind of, and they will put their honeycomb or the wax on top of that and then do the honey and then cap it off. So this way might be a little easier, the top bar beehive, for me, because I can just pull it out, cut it off, and then put it in a bucket and start straining it. The other ones, you have to use a uncapping knife and cut it off of the frame to be able to strain it and whatnot. People that have like multiple beehives or that do it more for work, you can get a honey extractor. So you can get a manual one, which I had, and they're really crappy, or you can get an electric one where you can have 2 or 4 frames in it at once. You plug it in, or you turn it with your hand, and it spins the frames around really, really fast, and it throws the honey out. But you still have to uncap the honey before you do it, or else you're just going to be spinning it for no reason. So, oh, and what I was getting at was the 3-pound pack would be what I would use for a top bar beehive, where it's just the queen and the bees in it's a 3-pound package of bees. Or you could get a nuke, or it's a nucleus, which includes usually it is 5 frames, and it has all the bees, the queen, and it also has the frames started with some of the larvae. So it gives you a couple weeks head start in the bee season, as far as being able to get your honey and whatnot. But yeah, so I thought I would just do an update. I haven't really done any videos on what the beehives look like, but that is them. So hopefully today I'll be picking up a 3-pound pack, or maybe tomorrow, 3-pound package of bees to put in this other top bar beehive. And when I do that, I will have my bee suit on and my hat for it, because yeah, you don't want to just not wear anything, because then you'll get stung, most likely, because they're getting moved and they don't like it. And another thing too, when you are moving your bees, they say to put something in front of the entryway where they go in and out, so that way their scout bees, they'll realize something is wrong, something's different about where they are, and they send these scout bees out, and they'll scout the area, and that way they kind of like let the other bees know where to go and whatnot, so that way they don't just, because you could do that and they could just leave the hive. So they say, like, some people put like tree branches in front of the opening and whatnot, just that way they realize that they're somewhere different. So let me flip this around. All the animals are eating. I already fed them. I could do an update on the rabbit that had her babies yesterday, the dead babies. So they were premature after I looked into it some more. Not sure what exactly happened, but yep, here's the goats. Here's the 2 lady hens. Daisy, that's our pregnant potbelly pig. And I'm thinking, that one's just laying. They like to lay in here and bask when the sun's out. I'm thinking I may have to not move him. That one's a male. And this big white one is also a male, and I may have to move him out into another enclosure, because Him and him got into a fight, and they weren't originally from the same rabbit colony, so I might have to move this one right here, and then just either we'll eat him or I'll keep him separate and use him for breeding later on. So, and this isn't just a bunch of random stuff in here. These I just repurposed. Someone gave me a bunch of old stored wheat and some other beans and stuff. So I use those for the rabbits. The two back there actually dug into the ground some. These other ones are just for them to hide in, and they could possibly make a nest in it, so they're just eating some pellets. So that poor little guy, he's mad right now. So you can see we have a bunch of water bottles. I filled that up with water yesterday. Just another spot for them to go. And we've been having a chicken that keeps going into their hutch and laying freaking eggs in there. So she actually went back over there. She's the gray one right there. There's Kevin, the goose. Hopefully that is a female. Hopefully we will be getting her friend here soon. A male friend. The ducks like to pick on her. And this is the rabbit that I believe should be having a litter here soon. Hopefully. I had to put all these extra locks on here because, not locks, carabiners, because the goats popped it open, and I had 2 males in here originally, and they freaking jumped out. Over here is the poor baby that had her premature kits yesterday. There's all my coffee grounds from Starbucks. Thanks, North Ogden Starbucks, for letting me pick those up. So I'll till those into the ground here soon. Here she is. So if you guys didn't watch, I did a video yesterday. She had 6, they call baby rabbits kits. She had 6 kits yesterday, and they were premature, so none of them made it. I don't know if they were alive when she actually had them, but by the time I saw that she had them and I checked on her, they were all dead, unfortunately. So there she is. So we'll leave her in here probably the rest. I put her in here last night. She just needed to recoup and not be around the males, and I tried to put her in with the other female, but she was not having it. So this is our spare hutch, and it's by the garden. So I was originally going to use this for quail, but I found a nicer coop for them. So this one's kind of nice because her poop will fall straight onto the ground right here, and then I can just rake it up and throw it into the garden. Rabbit poop is really good for gardening compost, so yeah, we'll leave her alone. Yep. And that's my catcher. We've been having some nuisance cats get back here at night, and if they end up killing one of my rabbits or the birds, then we're gonna end up trapping it. Maybe I'll do a video of me feeding them all. It's kind of hard to get. I'll have to have Brianna help me because they all go nuts when I bring their food back here. And I'm not feeding them enough. They eat enough. She had her babies like 3 weeks ago. So when they're in milk, they need more protein. And her are both in milk. So they both get a lot of extra food when I'm milking them. But they're just so dang skinny, and they're hard to get their weight back on after they have their babies here. You can see how skinny she is back there. There's Dolly. And that's her baby, Dipstick. So we can't get rid of him because he's too cool. And her, I don't know what. Actually, I spent a lot of money on her because she freaking broke her leg last summer. But now I know how to fix, how to do a splint. So we won't have a vet bow for that next time. What are you doing? See, they're such dicks to the damn pig. Bubbles! She's preggers. I don't know if you guys can see. Hey, stop being mean, Daisy. Stop. See, I threw a bunch of stuff on the ground. She's over here trying to get it all up. See the damn camera every time I go to unzoom here. Alright. Well, that's the update. Hopefully, this rabbit has her babies here soon. If not, she's just living the luxury life, not having to push on the other ones for food. Just chilling. Oh, and as I mentioned, if you get rabbits, once you start seeing this in their area, you can see all the spots, that means that they're about to have their babies and that they're definitely pregnant. They'll start to pull their fur off of the front of their chest and make a nest out of it. So if you watched the video last night, all the fur that was in the nest box that mommy pulled off herself. Alright. There's the boss right there. The rooster. Hopefully he's fertilizing these eggs I have in the incubator.